Ben Heather from Kingdom MMA, and I'm joined now by BCMMA promoter Jack Mason. First of all, congratulations on a great show again last night.
Thanks a lot.
How did you think it went, and what were your highlights?
Well, so I think the show went brilliantly. I was really impressed. It was the first time we did a live stream, and the guys backstage, like the two guys which are like keys to the operation. I don't really get much praise are Dean Simmons and Justin Bajau, and they just keep it running like clockwork. They're the two runners. They make sure the guys are ready, wrapped up, got all their stuff in, and get to the cage on time, and then it will get the next guy in and next guy in. They work their bollocks off all night, and it's really down to them that it works so well. And yeah, so it's fantastic. All the guys, the weigh-in was amazing. We had 44 fights on the card, 43 made weight, on time. They all turned up on time, all weighed in on time. And Harrow, missed weight by a small margin. Unfortunately, it was for a title fight. He was still within the pound allowance, but just over, and unfortunately couldn't fight for the title. But 43 out of 44 is pretty good for a local show. And yeah, so I was really impressed with the show. Some amazing fights. A few small hiccups. Early on we had a timekeeping error, which we're gonna have to rectify in the future. Have some backup stopwatches and stuff. There's a couple of things that can be improved. We always want to just improve every show. I think we did it this time as well. And yeah, some of the highlights of the fights. Bousef, Charlie Leary was a great fight. Thomas Robertson just gets better and better. Like, the guy started as an amateur with us, and just keeps destroying people. I dread to think who's going to be next for him. It's a tough fight for anyone, I think. And yeah, like, personal highlight was to see Steve Aimable come and do what he did to Miguel Harrow. Harrow's a really decent European level fighter, and he's got some excellent stand up, and Steve put in executed a perfect game plan and could come away with a win, and just did everything he needed to do. So I was very happy with that from a personal perspective. Okay,
and you touched on there the big talking point, really, the one round that went on for 3.5 minutes. Do you know how it happened, or have you not had a chance to figure it out?
Yeah, no, I do know how it happened, because I was backstage while it was happening, and I was watching it. I was actually wrapping someone's hands, watching it on stream, and I could see on the stream the time ran out, and the fight was still going. Put the hands down, ran outside, and basically what had happened is that with the timekeeper, the stopwatch had frozen, and it was a technical error. We need to rectify that in the future, because you can't just rely on one. If that's going to happen, you can't rely on one stopwatch. We're going to have a few, and people making sure that that doesn't happen again. Very frustrating. It's what it is. To be honest, Arnold Allen in his pro debut against Nathan Grayson had exactly the same thing happen to him on UCMMA, and it's one of the things. With anything, it's human error, and we're gonna have to put some measures in to try and stop that happening.
And if we just go look through the pro card, started with Craig Powell picking up his first win. I think he finished it with a triangle in a couple of minutes. It was a great fight, and he seemed to be coming on, and he seemed a lot calmer in this one than he did last time out in his pro debut. And he said to us afterwards that he felt like it was natural to go for the elbows when he did, which obviously previously he's not been able to. So, what did you make of that fight? Yeah,
I thought Craig did a great job. He could feel like the triangle was there, and just kept hunting it, and eventually it came, and it took him a little while to adjust to look it up, and once he did, it was all over, and he punctuated it with a few hard elbows in there as well. I think his elbows are pretty sore today. And so really, really great to see Craig do so well, and this is the thing, like, Craig he's had a previous career as a pop star, and he also does some other businesses, etc. Doesn't need to do this sport for money or anything like that, but just loves it, and he was just amazing to see. It was one of his personal goals to go in there and get a pro win, and it was amazing to see him do it.
And then the next couple of fights, you had a couple more quick finishes. Luis Gonzalez went in there and got the quick sub. Aaron Janssen then picked up another quick finish, and then the Thomas Robertson head kick knockout finished up with a ground and pound. What did you make of those 3 wins, and what's next for?
Yeah, so at the time I was backstage, helping Steve to warm up, and I was watching it on the stream, and the fights were going pretty quick, so I was like, right, Steve, we've got to get cracking with the warm up. But watching the fights, it's always great to see some early finishes as well, but it's good to see some fights go longer as well. So it's nice to have a good mix. It worried me a little bit that there were, I think 3 or 4 fights in quick succession that finished really early, but those guys were all really good. They were 50-50 matchups, so I wasn't sure who was going to win either. So I was happy. It's good to see some impressive finishes as well. So it's going to be hard to give out the bonuses, I think.
And Thomas Robertson, after the fight, said to us that he was after a title shot in his next fight, or if he couldn't get a title shot, then at least a matchup that's going to get him to there in the next one. Is that something you'd be looking for? He said that you told him to go out and put on a performance, and he couldn't do much better than he did yesterday.
Well, this is the thing, you can't argue with that. So he's definitely in line for a title shot, whether it's his next fight or the one after. He's definitely up there in the. He's going to cause problems for a lot of people in the UK, I think.
Yeah. And then after that fight, we had Tommy Maguire, and he lost to
Tibor Lachette.
Yeah. And coming into the fight, there was a few people writing Lachette off, but from seeing him against Tom Breeze in the past, I knew it was always going to be a tough fight.
Yeah. I remember watching that fight, Cage Warriors, and you gave Tom Breeze fits in Tom Breeze was on a long AF, etc. But he gave Tom Breeze some fits in that fight, and we always knew it was going to be a difficult fight for Tommy.
Yep. And then Corin Eaton come back again. He's one of the kind of homeboys from BCMMA. He's been there for quite some time, and he picked up a big win. What did you make of the performance and the following that he always brings with him?
I mean, this is the thing, like, you got to pan round to that place. Fuck me. Eaton, he's, we're lucky to have him. He's absolutely professional, bang on the weight. He's turning up to the weigh-ins on time now, which is fantastic. And he's always bringing a massive following. He's a great character as well, and always puts in an impressive performance. So I thought his last fight with Steve Martin was a very tough one. I think he made a good decision making the drop, and that was competitive. And Steve Martin's a bad man, so. Eaton's definitely one to watch in the future. He's going to go a long way, I think, and especially with his following. He's got some great support from around like the Colchester and Ipswich area. We always love to have him on. And
then we'll get to the title fight. Charlie Leary picked up a big win. Again, a lot of people seem to be writing him off coming into it, saying that Busev was on a roll and that he was going to walk through him, but he proved both in the first round early on what he had, and then finished it in the third. What did you make of his performance?
Well, both guys, you can't ever write them off. They're both some of the top lightweights in the UK, and I was really happy to be able to put the matchup on. And it could have gone either way, that fight, and it was going either way in different portions of the fight. And it was an impressive performance from Charlie Lear, and he dug deep and come out with a win. And even struggled against adversity in that fight, and come back and put an impressive performance and took the win.
And have you got any thought as to who's going to be next in line for him?
Not yet. There's quite a lot of good lightweights that are looking to fight on the show. So I have to go back and look at the roster. To be honest, a name at the moment doesn't spring to mind, but I'll be looking next few weeks, and hopefully we'll get him on again to defend that belt pretty soon.
And then we got to the main event, and Steve Amiable again puts on a show, keeps the crowd happy on his local show. This time he's picked up the win, and he said he was delighted to finally get the finish after 2 decisions. What did you make of the fight and how he came in? Bearing in mind that Haro, we all know, is he just comes to party, he comes to throw the punches.
I actually couldn't believe how I've watched Haro on tape. I couldn't believe how fast and powerful his striking was. He's a dangerous man, and Steve put in impressive game plan execution. Was just in and out, popping with shots and getting the takedowns when he needed. And he just kept the pressure on Haro all the time, and eventually that was the game plan, was to keep the pressure on him, and eventually hopefully break. Steve hits exceptionally hard, and as he's shown a lot of times before, and hit him, and I think the fighting his shot was when he landed a knee to the solar plexus as Haro was on his arse, and I saw Haro this morning. He's got a bad rib, so yeah, Steve, I was very pleased with his performance.
And next up for him, we've got potentially one of my favourite fights that's just been announced for next year already. Stephen Martin versus Steve Amiable.
Yeah, I mean
that's going to be a massive fight. I
mean, Steve Martin's done everything possible, to warrant a title shot. So, you can't not give it to him. So hopefully we'll be able to work out a date next year, and for when we're going to put it on, and we'll see who takes that one.
Yeah. And for the first time this time, you mentioned that it was live on MMA TV.
Yeah.
The stream, from what I saw backstage, looked amazing. It was as you'd expect with the Cage Warriors stream and the UFC Fight Pass. Was it above your expectations, or?
Yeah, from what I watched, it was fantastic. To be fair, we had some power issues backstage, which I thought might cause a problem, but luckily we had some backup batteries and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I'm really impressed with the streaming, the way the guys produced the show. I thought it was excellent. I'd love to be able to keep producing that type of quality every time out, and and giving it to the fans for free to watch, because I think that's the way forward.
And BCMMA 14 has been announced for February the 20th next year.
Yeah.
From the year that you've had this year, it seems to have been the biggest year for BCMMA to date. Where does it go next year, and have you got anything lined up already for that card?
So we've got a few amateur bouts agreed already for February, but for the pro cards, we're going to try and keep that small this time. I think maybe 5 fights. I've got a few matchups in the pipeline at the moment, but nothing confirmed. But within the next couple of weeks, we'll have those announced.
Well, thank you very much for your time. It was a great show last night, as always.
Thanks
and
so much for your help.
I'll be there again in February to come see the next one.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.